Hi, this is Kerry Artak with Wicked Stocks, bringing you an individual stock pick in Peloton Interactive Incorporated, symbol PTON. I did record this video, by the way, on Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. We can scroll to the basic fundamentals courtesy of Yahoo Finance. This is on the lower end of a mid cap. This has been over the last few years kind of a day trader's, spec trader's favorite. And you can see, we're going to open this chart up here. This is the full existence of Peloton going back to 2019. And then over the last year, actually, as this stock has descended into its low area in the $6-7 zone, that it's forming this classic saucer bottom, which is generally a low forming process. The question is, when is it over? When can you expect upside? Now, there were earnings this week that were favorable, so we do have a spike to the upside. The stock has rallied nicely and in the process has settled above this meaningful channel structure that goes back some 6 months or so. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit here and show it at 14 and a quarter this week. So we pushed through that this week. We're presently trading well above it. Any downside retracements at this juncture, because I am recording this on Thursday, there are 2 days left in the week. So any downside retracements to 14 and a quarter should be considered buy opportunities. And assuming we settle, the week above this 14 and a quarter formation, you can see here that there's 1432. That is a meaningful pullback high from August of 22, about, I don't know, what was that, 6 months ago or so? Maybe a little bit less, something like that. Anyway, the 1425 to 1432 area is a meaningful zone of support. 1432 was a spike high that existed within that saucer bottom, so it has legitimate support anyway. We're above both of them. This is meaningful area for buying downside retracements in. And assuming we settle the week out at 1439 or higher, which is a 1% violation of 14 and a quarter, and that looks likely, then we should continue higher. The big question is where? I mean, I don't see this stock rallying back into the 100s. That would be significant. But what I do think is likely is just this very modest descending 2/3 speed line, which is trend defining in its own right. It's projected off that January 21 all-time high of 171.09, and it takes into account when you construct the speed line, it takes into account, this is a descending 1/3 speed line, by the way, not 2/3. I think I just said 2/3. It takes into account the October 2022 pullback low of 666. I'm not showing how they're constructed here. It's really no secret. It's pretty basic math. I've been using it for years, but they are how would I put it? What's the phrase that I often use? It keeps you on your toes. Speed line analysis is a very interactive process. It's a very dynamic process to trend identification. If we were to fall in the next month or two back to 666, we would have to reconstruct that speed line and base it again on the same parameters or lower. But anyway, I don't want to get into that. Here's the bottom line. Assuming we do settle this week out above the 1425 channel top, we should, now the timing of this is next to impossible. There's historic precedent on this chart, as you can see, with previous volatility that existed a couple of years ago, that this could be within a matter of weeks. But I think it's going to be more a matter of months. But even that, we're talking a tripling perhaps of the price of the stock. I'm going to call it a doubling because as we move into March, April, that descending 1/3 speed line drops into around, around 28 bucks. I don't have it labeled here, but as we move into March, April trade, it's around 29, upper 20s, let's put it that way. So you can monitor actually the location of that speed line. We're giving you rate of descent. It's a linear descent of 121 a week. It's at 4070 this week, the week of Monday, January 30th. All these levels that we're giving are based on the week of Monday, January 30th. So the 14 and a quarter formation is rising a dime a week. Next week, it'll be 14.35, so forth and so on. And the descending 1/3 speed line, 4070, is dropping $1.21 a week. And it'll be in the upper 20s as we move into early April, late March, early April. And that may actually be the timing for reaching the speed line. So it could be over the next couple of months that as this stock continues to presumably rally, it meets the speed line, which by that point in the upper 20s us in early April, and that could be it. We could top out at that 1/3 speed line, possibly through the rest of the year, and fall back again into the 10s, into that 14 area. We could fill that wedge out, if you will, between the 1/3 speed line and the 14.25 channel top for months to come. And if we were to close above that 40.70 descending 1/3 speed line, we would have another buy signal, and we'll be back again providing you what the next upside targets would be on that. If we do happen to fall apart and close back below 14.25, and that could be by a 1% margin just for safekeeping, 14.10 or lower, then we should fall back to what is now a trend line off those lows. That could be within a matter of 3 to 5 weeks, back to 8.19. The failure to follow through on a meaningful buy signal that's presenting itself right now at 14.25, the failure to follow through on that, the market falling back and closing at or below it, is in itself a sign of weakness as we move into the weeks to follow. And I think it's very likely then that within the 3 to 5 weeks following a settlement at or below that 14.25 channel top, that the 8.19 trend line would be in reach, where we could actually bottom out on a monthly basis, possibly longer. But the real gist of this video is to apprise you of the fact that a meaningful buy signal is emerging in Peloton. We've had a few of them, but this is the most notable. I'm talking over the last 6 months or so. And this is the most notable. It's a horizontal structure. I like horizontal line studies more than steeply descending ones. And we also have that saucer bottom. So this is a good play. And I'm going to leave it at that for this particular Wicked Stocks video analysis on Peloton.